Hello and welcome back to Tinker Talks Guns. Today we're going to be talking about the Ward's Western Field Model 14-SD206A. And the -206A is probably important because they also have a Model 14 in 22 long rifle, which is a completely different weapon. These were made in the 1930s for Montgomery Ward, probably by Mossberg, since that's who seems to have made a lot of the Montgomery Ward guns. Although it could be a Stevens, I don't know. I was able to find remarkably little information about this on the interwebs. But this is a 24-inch barreled 410 shotgun, bolt action, with a tube magazine. And before we talk more about that, let me take a moment to shout out to my supporters on Patreon. This all costs money, and your contributions help more than you know. If you'd like to join my supporters on Patreon, there is a link in the description below. Also, I'd like to thank channel benefactors like Rain City Shooting Center, Pinto's Guns, where I bought this, and the innumerable people who have been helpful with contributions of ammo, providing me with guns to show and demonstrate for you, and helpful in any number of other ways. So, Western Field was the in-house brand for Montgomery Ward's firearms, which were mostly made by Mossberg, although some seem to have been made by Savage. Correct me on that if I'm wrong. Information about these is scarce because they are hardly collectible, and there doesn't seem to be a great deal of interest in them, which is kind of a shame because they are fine, useful old weapons. I was at Pinto's Guns looking through their used shotgun rack, which is often extensive and interesting. And I had them pull this one up for me to look at. And Lynn and I were transacting some other business, and she said, "Do you want that one too?" Being me, I said, "Yes, please." So, bolt-action shotguns are a bit of an oddity these days. But they were once quite common, and they were essentially the most inexpensive iteration of a repeating shotgun that you could buy, and they were popular with farmers and, utilitarian outdoors use. They were generally plainly finished, but generally well made and useful. And this one has 24-inch barrel, like most 410s. It is a full choke. It actually chokes down to 0.37 inches, roughly, at the muzzle. So very full choke. And it is a squeeze choke, where the entire end of the barrel appears to be squeezed down to choke it for the last several inches. It has a tubular magazine underneath. That holds, as near as I can tell, 3 rounds. You can stuff 4 of some 2.5-inch shells in it, but it's not happy and it doesn't work well if you do. So call it 3, either 2.5 or 3-inch shells. Both work. And operation is very simple. There is a manual safety right here that locks the bolt from being operated, and of course blocks the trigger. Now, in operation, it's a bolt action. What's to know? As it turns out, there are some things to know. For example, don't attempt to load it with the bolt open, because that lifts the follower, the elevator that raises the shell from the tube magazine to be in line with the breech. And if you load it with that in the up position, it will jam everything up because a shell will come out of the magazine and be under the elevator. Don't do that. Loading is simple, and it's like the old Henrys. You just open the tube, drop your shells in, push the tube closed, and you can feel spring pressure for the last few inches, and twist the cap to lock it. And then, when you pull back the bolt, if you're me, that happens. That's never happened before. Let's try it again. There we are. The elevator brings it up. You chamber it, and when you fired, it ejects it with some authority, and you load the next round. And as we have discovered, when the elevator lifts the shell, it can pop out sometimes. It's not going to do that now, of course, because I'm trying to show it doing that again. So, 3 shots of 2.5 or 3 inch 410. Now, like most bolt action shotguns, there are no locking lugs at the forward end of the bolt, or at the rear end of the bolt, or pretty much anywhere else. The bolt handle base, where it attaches to the bolt, is the locking lug, and it locks directly against the frame here. And this is not by any means the strongest mechanism in the world, but it's strong enough for a shotgun, which are relatively low pressure. You find this on 410, 16, 20, 12 gauge shotguns. They all seem to share that. I'm told that there are some rifled barrel bolt action slug guns that have proper locking lugs, but I don't have one of those. And the stock, as you can see, is very plain in feature and finish. And of course, it's almost 100 years old, so it's only going to be in so much good shape. But this one is in pretty good condition, and it functions exactly as it should. I have fired it, and you will get no firing video this time because 410 shells are like gold right now. But I can assure you that if you line it up and set the bead on the back rib, well, the back breech, there's a little flat with striations on it. If you set the bead there, it shoots a lovely minute of bunny rabbit group at 25 yards, or pattern, not group. And it's a nice old shotgun. It's as useful as it ever was. It works fine when you're not me doing a video. And they're not expensive. And they are a gun that should not be overlooked, because this is going to be as good at taking small game today as it was the day it was made, 80, 90 years ago. And you can pick them up typically for $75 to $150. I paid $125 for this one. It's in rather good condition. You'd really want an absolute pristine top quality example to stretch to $150. But anyway, as low as $75, they're really quite economical. And the action is really commendably smooth. The trigger pull is about 4 pounds. Breaks nice and crisp. Significant over travel, but that's really not such a big deal in a shoulder arm with multiple points of contact. And as I say, these are overlooked a lot these days, and they really shouldn't be, because they're perfectly serviceable, perfectly useful, good quality weapons at a very affordable price. Now, yes, this is a small game shotgun, but with the right slug, people can and do take deer with them at close range. And by the way, that slug would not be the Remington, because the Remington 85 grain, I think it is, tends to fragment and very badly underpenetrate. So if you're going to use those, you want to be very careful of your shot. The best I've seen tested and demonstrated are the Brennecke slugs that are available from someone for these, and they seem to work quite well with great penetration, and they hold together. But really not a deer gun. And I really like guns like this, that they're the sort of guns everyday people bought for everyday use, and they actually used them, which means a fair number of them are not in very good condition at this point. But they make really good project guns. And I quite like them. Now, I've only got room for so many of them in my, what I laughingly call my collection. But this seemed a worthy addition, and I've been very happy with it. And hopefully I'll get out to do some small game hunting with it after I've lost a bit more of this. By the way, the shirt is for a Facebook page, the 1911 Pistol Club, which is exactly what it sounds like. And I'm an admin, so they sent me a free shirt, which I thought was very nice of them. And I wear it. So anyway, I just thought I'd explain that, or over-explain that. And, you know, like I said, this is just as good a shotgun today as it was when it was, you know, behind the counter at Montgomery Ward's almost a century ago. You know, it shoots with number 6 shot. It shoots dead to point of aim. Has a nice generous bead, which some would consider too large, but you're going to be shooting this at 25, 30 yards maximum. And I think it's perfect for that. I really quite like it. Of course, I'm the kind of freak who likes old guns, but there's a lot to like here. Now, this is marked 2.5 and 3-inch shells, and you can put 3 of either one in the magazine. And like I said, with some shells, because the overall length of 2.5 inches vary, sometimes you can cram 4 shells into it of the 2.5 inch, but the gun is not happy when you do. And yeah, just a great old shotgun that I thought I would share with you. So, if you liked the video, please hit the like button. It helps the channel a lot. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. And that's it for this time. At some point, I'll see if I can get some shooting footage of this if 410 ammo ever becomes less like the Holy Grail to obtain. Anyway, I hope this finds you well. Stay safe, take care, and we'll talk to you again real soon.